One, two, three!
My name is Gary Kramer. I am a film critic for AroundPhilly.com and other regional papers. And I want to welcome you to tonight's screening of Evil Dead. I know it's St. Patrick's Day, but I'm wearing red because of blood rather than green. So, you know, I hope you're in the mood to see a blood-drenched horror movie. I first heard about Evil Dead when I was in high school. Sophomore, I think I was. It was in like 1981. I read the review in the Inquirer in my Mrs. Spawn's math class. I should have been probably paying attention to class, but you know, I was reading a movie review. And it talked about a woman being raped by a swamp. And I thought, I gotta see that. That's where I was in 10th grade. I finally saw the film, and I loved it. And I saw the sequels, and I loved them. And I've since interviewed Bruce Campbell. And I'm really excited about tonight because this is a film that, you know, needs to be remade on a larger budget with a lot more blood and a lot more gore, and I understand that's what you're in for tonight. So if you're squeamish, and I will scream like a 13-year-old at a Bieber concert in this, so I'm warning you now. Like, and it'll be like a really stupid jump moment, not like anything gory. Gore I can handle. So I want you to get into it. I want you to stay after the film because we have director Fede Alvarez here to do some Q&A. I'll be moderating that. If I can talk, it might be a little speechless afterwards. But thank you for coming. I hope you enjoy the film. Please turn off your cell phones. Please don't talk. You know, and let me know what you think after the film. Thank you.
Philadelphia. Yeah, great. Do you like the movie? Awesome.
I can't wait to see it because I had my hand over my eyes for the rest of it. Yeah, this is very, very, you know, bloody. Not that there's anything wrong with that. When I introduced the film, I said how I had first heard of the film. What was your first experience with The Evil Dead? Because you were probably like, what, under 10 when this was originally released?
No, well, I was 2. I'm 35, so the movie is actually, I think, well, the movie was being made at the same time that my fathers were making, doing me, making me. They did me, So it's yeah, because it's 78, 9, but it's released in 81, and I was born in 78. But I'd seen it when I was 12. I was done with all the, Nightmares on Elm Street and all that. This is back in 1990, and I went to the video store like looking for the scariest thing they could get me, and they say like no, because that would be illegal because you're 12. And I was like, oh, I can take anything. Like, come on, man. And I was really pushy, and the guy gave me, like, you know what? You want a very scary movie? There you go. And he gave me Evil Dead. I was like, get out of here. So we took Evil Dead with a friend of mine. And we run home, wait for my parents to leave, and we watched the movie, and it was really the scariest experience I had in my life. Like, really, it was a bad idea. I shouldn't have done it. It was like giving me nightmares for ages. And you're with your friends, so you kind of pretend like you're not scared, like, yeah, I can take this is nothing. And then I was really, really traumatized.
So did you ever think you were going to remake it? I mean, don't you want to go to that video store clerk now and say, hey dude, look what I just did?
Yeah, if it exists, video stores are dead now. Particularly that one.
So Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell were producers of the remake. How did you get involved in the project?
Well, I'm from Uruguay, and I just been doing shorts and stuff since I'm a kid, and kind of in 2009 I finished a short called Panic Attack. But some giant robots destroying my city. We did that with $300 and a bunch of friends that love filmmaking, and I did all the post-production, all the effects myself with a friend. And I would just one day we uploaded to YouTube, and kind of this next morning we got like 150 emails from Hollywood. We thought it was a joke at the beginning. I was sure it was a friend of ours just like pulling my leg. we got a call from Warner Brothers, and they were asking me to meet them, and I was completely 100% sure it was a friend of mine. Like I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, you're Warner Brothers, and it's so funny. But then eventually, what that translated to me going to LA for the next week and meeting a lot of people, and among the people I met Sam Raimi and his team, and we started talking about making a movie. He was really like giving me the chance of making whatever I wanted. He was like, we did this blind deal to make a movie. He was like, we just want to make a movie with you. And we started developing one thing that was closer to a short, but eventually on the process, he ended up offering me like to do Evil Dead. He said like, would you do Evil Dead for me? I knew he wanted to, I heard that he wanted to remake it. I saw it on TV like 2 years before that, and I was like, who's going to be the, poor bastard that's going to have to touch that classic? and eventually it was me. So, but anyway, that's how it happened. It was just through that short and just having a really good relationship with Sam, working on the other project, and he offered it to me.
Thank you. So if you were in a cabin in the woods with 5 or 4 friends, and you found a mysterious book of the dead, and I want to know actually where I can get one of those, because that's people I want to get rid of.
I'm trying to get it.
What would you do? I mean, like, would you read it? Would you break that
Depends.
incantation? I mean, they do some pretty stupid things.
Yeah, I know, but the whole, when you look at the movie, then particularly horror movies, and that's what I love about this one too. They're filled with stupid decisions, right? Otherwise, the movie wouldn't advance, right? The plot wouldn't advance. But it's just like for anybody that thinks, yeah, that's silly. Why he did read from the book? That say don't read from the book, and he goes, go ahead. But I bet you $100
Don't
that.
go in the basement.
Yeah, exactly. But if any of you now, right now, get a message on your phone that says like, please, don't look up. I bet you $100 most of you are going to go like. It's human nature, and you don't know you're in a horror movie. These guys, they don't know they're in a horror movie, right? For us, we're smarter because we go like, come on, dude, you're in a horror movie. But they don't know. They just, they find this book, they say something, they're curious, they want to know. Then the girl, like, she's in the cellar, she just fell there, she hurt her leg, she's like begging for help. She's not gonna go like, fuck no, I seen this movie. No, she's gonna go like, they're gonna try to help you.
Have they seen horror movies? Don't they know not to do that?
But I don't think, even if you watch horror movies, like in the ask you, do you believe in the occult? Do you believe in demons? And do you believe that somebody could possess? Are you gonna, take some different actions based on that? I don't think so. Like most people would just like, think there's something rational behind it, right?
Okay, so biological infection or demonic possession, what scares you?
Well, what? Come again?
Biological infection or demonic possession, which scares you?
Demonic possession.
I don't think I want either of those things.
Yeah, I don't want to hear those definitely. The demonic part, I think, is always scarier because what you don't understand is always scarier, right?
Okay, let me open up to the audience. Do people have questions? Do you want to know how much blood did you use in the film?
I would say like we had a truck that was 15,000 gallons, and we're and then we got a refuel at some point. I don't know if we spent the whole thing, but at least we spent one of those trucks, and then there was the next one. I mean, yeah, the blood rain. You can imagine that all that was for real. There was no CGI there, so it was all. And that was on location. That's no studio. That's real on location. So that's a big woods, all rigged with hose and just sprinklers and raining blood every time we turn. It was it's based on a song, Slayers.
In the blue. Yeah.
Fede, you're the man, by the way.
Thank you.
You're the man. But I was just curious, is there any differences from the film we just saw to the original pitch you pitched to Sam Raimi?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was. I don't really remember what it was. It was like 2.5 years ago, and but the spirit was the same. But we wanted to do a family at the beginning, so like let's make it about this family that goes to the cabin because we were like really desperate to try to stay away as much as possible from the original classic. It was all like, oh man, we have to make something different. We have to kind of get away from that. Let's make a sequel. Let's make a new Evil Dead, and then naturally end up being closer to what the original was in some levels, but. Yeah, it was going to be a family, but the tone was the same idea, as realistic as we could. That was the concept.
I thought it was a very wholesome family film.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes were very violent. Did you have a difficult time getting an R rating?
Oh yeah, we did. But yeah, because we knew. I mean, we knew that we had to go out and shoot everything we wanted, and Sam was encouraging us to do whatever we wanted, and it was a very the making of the film was completely independent. This is a studio release, but because Sam Raimi owns the rights to the original movie, everything was up to him. And Sam, he's a director, and he knows that the worst thing he can do as a producer is to be on the director's face, telling him what to do. So he said in the beginning, I'm gonna give you what they never gave me in the past, like completely freedom to go bananas and do whatever you want. And so we did that, and of course that translated into a super violent and completely out of Hollywood kind of thing for a horror movie. And yeah, but we knew it was going to be a challenge to the MPAA, but Sony had a really good relationship with them. They have kind of a liaison people with them that just tells you what we're going to get. And the first cut, it's like that's going to be an NC-17. So they helped us out to get it to the R. And basically we didn't have, the good news is that we didn't cut out anything. We just had to trim frames. It's just the MPA, you don't have to try to understand it because you go crazy. It's just, the tongue, for instance, like if we have 5 more frames, you have to be 18 to watch the movie. If we show it this way, it's okay. And that's what we did with everything, with the cutting off the arm, particularly graphic, moments that we had just to kill 5 frames, 10 frames, and stuff like that.
I want to get the guy in the back.
Hey, how much have you cut out of the film, and will that be put back on the DVD?
Well, like I was saying, like for the rating itself, we just had to cut out frames. The movie didn't suffer at all. Like I was even happy with this cut that the previous one that just had more frames because it ended up being more subtle in some levels. But there's probably going to be a version. I know there's going to be a version probably down the line. It's not up to me, but. Which is my original longer cut. I mean, this is my director's cut. This is how crazy this movie is. Like these days, director never get the cut out there. It's end up being producers of the studio taking your cut. I mean, usually the director has a chance to do a cut, and then you test the movie. And usually the first cut never tests well. You test it with an audience and usually get a bad note, and then the studio goes like, "Thank you so much for your effort. We take it from here," and then they turn into those weird things you see in theaters every day, and thank God here the first time when we test the movie that original cut that I did end up getting the highest rating in the studio ever got for a horror movie. So suddenly it was like that's it, that's the movie. There's no changes or anything. So that's it. That's my cut, right? But there's a longer version that has more things in it that's probably gonna see the light of day someday.
Over here.
Yeah, the original Evil Dead had a lot of humor in it, and I always thought that was because it was kind of low budget, so some of the things that they did when translated just came out very funny, and a lot of fans kind of like that. And this one, there were a couple of parts where we all laughed. How did you balance between what would be funny, what would be scary? Did we laugh at the right parts? And as a director, were we laughing at things that you didn't think we should be laughing at?
No, I'm laughing all the time when I'm watching this movie, that's for the record. I just I was over there and I'm trying to not laugh too loud. But it's a great question, yeah, because it's something that you cannot control, right? Like when you make a movie, it's kind of when, I don't have kids, but usually, parents, the parents are trying to turn the kids into a doctor, he's got to be a freaking hippie, right? Like if you're trying to turn it into something that is not, probably is going to want to do something else. So with the movies, I think there's a similar process. You cannot force the movie to be, what you want. The movie has its own life, you just have to, try to make your best and write the movie that you think it's awesome and try to write, whatever comes from your heart. And then the audience will take it. I mean, we showed this movie 2 or 3 times already, and the reactions are all, quite different every time. And it depends on the mood on the audience. Like if you, it's pretty violent stuff. At the same time, of course, when Eric is going like, she just got her fucking arm off. It's somebody that is trying to be with you and with the audience going like, what the fuck is going on? Because the funny part, and this is something that is very important, that day one when Sam offered me this movie, I had to ask him one question before pitching him anything. Was like, well, you're trying to be funny when you made the original Evil Dead. Which I read some reviews, people saying like, I missed the point because I didn't make it funny. And Sam Raimi said like, fuck no, you offended me by asking me that. I wasn't trying to make the scariest movie ever, right? And try to be outrageous as I could. And that was the same spirit. So that's all we decide to do. We say, okay, let's go bananas, let's go crazy, let's make it scary, but also let's go over the top. Let's not be like, oh, just there. Let's keep going and keep going and keep going until, it's raining blood and, there's a creature coming from hell. We really wanted to keep going. And sometimes, of course, over the top and outrageous, can not be funny a lot of times. So that's kind of the spirit of the Evil Dead movies, I think. For me, it's really funny. For other people, they don't find it funny at all. But the original Evil Dead is not trying to be funny. And that being funny because of the nature of the story, right?
Did you ever feel like you were going too far? Is there a boundary that you wouldn't cross?
Well, look, maybe, yeah, but there was, on set we were always saying, like, nothing is too much. Every time somebody walk in with something in their hands, a prosthetic, something like, this is too much, like, everybody goes like, nothing is too much. Like, it was the answer all the time in general with gore and blood, and we're trying to really be as over the top as we could, but we're always keeping in the balance of not making it too funny, not going over the top, like, gory movies when somebody started taking the guts out of the other guy, and just they start falling to the floor. You end up laughing out loud. It's just not scary anymore. So we're trying to be right on the line where it's outrageous, but at the same time it wasn't going to be completely funny, right?
Let me get another question over here.
Yeah. So obviously, from the '81 to now, there's you brought in a lot of homages and references that I love. Saw the Oldsmobile. I love that you threw David around the room.
Yeah.
Bruce, what was your favorite? What was one of the things that you had to? You're like, I got to get this in there.
Oh, there's one. I think you have to watch the movie again to notice. But on the table, in the middle of the living room, there's a deck of cards, and they're like kind of spread in the table. And all the order of the last cards until the end, they're on the same order that Shelley on the original Evil Dead she started naming before she turns. She started like Jack of Spades, Jack of Diamonds. She turns around. Well, they all lay out in the same exact order of that scene. So we did pretty, stupid things, but I was, obsessed with those because for me it was a way of blessing every set with something from the original movie. It meant a lot to me. It was so important for me that we respect the originals in a big time. So we're like planting all those things in every set. So you'll see them. If you pause it, you'll go, oh, there they are, and people from the art department will go crazy asking me like, yeah, do I have to do this every day? Yeah. Go ahead, put those cards on the table.
The devil is in the details.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
evil is in the details.
But and then the clock is the original clock from the original movies. Actually, the clock on the wall is actually the same clock they used in the original movie.
Wow.
Let me get this.
Hey Gary. First off, thank you very, very much for doing what many thought was impossible. The film was tremendous.
Thank you.
I particularly loved the practical effects work and the prosthetic work in the film. I want to know what was your favorite prosthetic or effects piece to shoot, and then also what was one of the biggest challenges in reference to the effects, and how did you overcome that?
Well, my favorite is, I think, when we were doing it, and still in camera, I think is a great accomplishment, was the cutting off the arm. That's been done so many times, but if you watch every movie in the past, it's always done the same way. Somebody's going to cut something, and they cut away to, right before they cut away to some face, and then they go back, because they switch, right? They put the prosthetic in. And we didn't want to do that. It was like, let's do a long shot where we never cut, and the girl's going to have a light dress, so her whole skin is connected to her arm, so you see a real arm and all that. And those were, like, in the beginning, it's very easy to write on the script, like, and she cut her fucking arm off. But it's very hard to do it when you got to do it, right? And but we had an amazing makeup team, and I do magic tricks with cards. I know it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm not too good at it. But I love illusions. I love magic tricks with real cards, not with trick cards. And so really, a lot of those ideas were like just me going crazy, like, well, let's do it this way. Let's get somebody arm here. Let's do this. Let's do something. And then everybody at the beginning, nobody trusts the ideas. They're like, what? And then we did, and it worked. So I was very proud of really pushing for those things and get it right. And then the hardest one, that shot is just one day of shooting. Imagine. It's just going for the arm and cutting it, it's just one day of shooting. And then the other one that I love, and the screen, of course, is the tongue. We got a cast of Jane's tongue for real. I love it because when you were there, it was so embarrassing. It looked so bad, right? It was like, oh my god, this is going to be my first and last movie ever. And because you could see, the thing will fall out of her mouth. Somebody was puppeteering with 2 strings from outside camera, and he's like, oh my god, and Rob Tapper is visiting the set on that day, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna get fired with this idea of no CGI, because everybody wanted to do the tongue CGI, the tongue was the first thing everybody said, like, hey, we have a CGI tongue, and I was like, no, we're doing we cast a tongue, we put it in her mouth. While we were doing, it looked like shit. Then we cut it, when we edited, we put love on the scene, and I think it ended up working great, right? Thank you. We're talking about it. I mean, I want to write it right now because it's really something that I want to, control the destiny of where the story goes. The Evil Dead movies are so crazy, and they go to. I mean, I hope this movie would go as far and even as crazier as the original trilogy, where you go like, what, medieval times? But this has to go to those places too. Otherwise, it's not an Evil Dead saga, right? But so right now we're writing and talking with Tam, trying to agree where we're going to take it, and I think it's going to depend on that. Like if we all agree that if we all agree that it goes in the place that I want to go, yes, I'll direct it. That's the way.
Yeah.
I like the girl playing Mia, and the cast. Was it the idea all along not to use any big stars?
No, I didn't want any big stars. Definitely no. For me, the movies that I enjoy the most usually is when I don't know nobody. It's when it's all these like completely fresh new faces that I don't know, and I feel more, the immersive feeling is better than it's when it's suddenly Tom Cruise pretending he's somebody now we all know them, and so it's harder to get into some stories. So I didn't want to have nobody that was a star at least, and then a lot of stars read for the role. I mean, a lot of very well-known faces read. Like it was a script that everybody loved around Hollywood, so suddenly we had everybody reading for the part. I mean, I tell you even more, like usually these movies, nobody reads for these movies usually. I mean, the studio just like give the roles to actors they know and they want to be in business with. Like they go, well, let's give the movie to Kristen Stewart because whatever, and then suddenly she's in your movie, and the director's gotta have to go like, oh, okay, that's my luck. And that was how it's going to be, and thank God Sam, supported me on the idea of that everybody had to read for this movie, that we weren't going to be handing out just parts just because it's the way it is. And at the beginning everybody was like, oh shit, that's not the way we do it. And it's like, but I think that's the way you make a real movie. Everybody has to, if somebody wants the role badly, they better go and read. They're not gonna get an email saying you got the role. And so everybody went and read, and at the beginning there was a little bit of an agenda. And we, you probably everybody read that Lily Collins was attached to it, and I think she's a great actress, but that was kind of a studio thing. It wasn't my thing. They gave me one chance just to go and talk with her, and I explained so much in so much detail how we're going to shoot the movie and everything we're going to do to her and everything. And that next day she was like, I'm out. And I was like, thank you. And that's when Jane Levy came out. I mean, she was somebody that read, right?
In the back, yeah.
I did actually have a question about the tongue scene because I actually do have my tongue split, and I wanted to know where you got the idea for it.
Where we got the idea for? That's a good question because most of the things usually they come out of something it's just a bizarre process. This is you have to understand this movie is written by me and Rodo, which is one of my best friends since we were 12. So we just sit down at home and start coming up with crazy stuff and trying to come up with the best story we can, and that's definitely Rodo's idea. So like, you know what? I think it came out of the same idea where at the beginning they took the hood off this girl and she goes like, "Daddy." Yeah, it's trying to suddenly whatever you expect is going to happen, just twist it and do completely opposite. So that throw you out balance all the time, and in that moment she has a knife, the girl's in front of her, you're gonna go, okay, she's gonna attack her. And we said like, no, she's gonna attack herself. She's gonna show her that there's nothing they can do to her that would hurt her. Like she will cut her tongue in half and she doesn't care. So it came out of that idea of just whatever they expect, let's do the opposite, and also as a part of the story showing that Mia's character, she's in a place where nothing can hurt her. I mean, there's nothing that they can do to her that will bother her.
On that note, I think we have to wrap it up. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I was just wondering, it seems these days in Hollywood it's very popular to make the woman, the victor. And I was just wondering, I mean, that's not how the original Evil Dead was, so I'm wondering, what swayed you that way? Was it like typical Hollywood, or was it just you wanting to do things differently? So.
No, nothing was typical of Hollywood. I mean, we live in Europe, you know. That's in South America, a very small country. We don't have nothing to do with Hollywood. We live there, you know. Like we don't. And we made sure went up there, so nothing comes out of that. But it just came out again of the same idea of just doing a twist. Like he's the hero. I mean, the guys are the one that been attacked during the whole movie, right? And she's the monster. I mean, everybody's scared of Mia all the movie. Like I always love the reaction when she started digging her up. That everybody goes like, "What the? No, leave her down there." But then at the end, I think everybody roots for her in a way, like because you remember everything she's been through since the beginning, and she was really trying to do something that is hard, like quit heroin that way, going cold turkey. She really has balls since the beginning. Everybody is more of a douche. She's the only one that is really, do better on the better. So at the end, we thought she deserved to be the one to survive, and I love the twist. I think a lot of people doesn't expect that. It was more based on that. Again, it's surprising. Whatever was the trend, no idea. Like it doesn't. I don't think it should matter when you write it. Like you don't. If somebody's thinking about, okay, let's do what everybody's doing, you're done, right? So thank you so much. Thank you.
What was that? Of course. The Army of Darkness world, or
I try.
yeah. Thank you. Good job, man. What do you want to get one? That's great,
Who was he? Stop.
Harrison, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I can't wait to see it again. He defect others ever in a defect time movie.
Hey.
You guys pictures or video?
No, it's easier because in the short it's just me and a friend. Like this is a team of people like helping each other. It's easier when you have money to make something than when you have $300. Thank you. Ladies first.
What are we playing on next?
Where are we going next? We're going to Toronto. Thank you. Thank you.
New Zealand and Michigan, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, we're good.
No, I meant where you filmed.
Oh, when we shot the movie?
Yes.
No, it's completely on New Zealand.
Oh, what?
I think I even did that Michigan. We were recently.
Yeah, yes, I looked it up. I was curious.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Let me finish with this first.
I want the one with the picture that I shoot. Layla.
Yeah.
Well, no, they still take it.
No. Yeah.
But I actually have to do a re-release. I'm gonna become more popular. Might flash right now.
That's awesome.
And he got it signed by Bruce Campbell. He took it to a Comic-Con and got signed by Bruce Campbell, so gotta get your
There we go.
Thank you very much, Tina.
They didn't say that here. They just said don't have your phones.
You know, I'd love to have it tomorrow if it's fast.
Yeah, that's fine. Like the whole, yeah, sound.
Like by the end of day tomorrow, so I could send